Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Saturday, August the 17th. We're going to look at the Saturday night slate, 9 games on DraftKings and Yahoo. There is an early slate today, but I don't think I'm going to be playing it. I think it's only like 3 or 4 games. Doesn't look very appealing. Plus, like some of the early games, or the 6 o'clock games are included in the early slate. I usually don't play those mid-afternoon slates, so we're just going to look at the night slate, 9 games, talk about DraftKings and Yahoo. We'll start off with pitching. I'll be sure to work my way through the pitcher-player pool and talk about all the pitchers that I like today, the ones that I'm going to be playing. Then we'll look at 3 specific hitters I like for DraftKings and for Yahoo. We'll talk about some stacks I'll be going to. And then towards the end of the video, we will look at some BVP plays for those of you interested in BVP. Before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you don't miss out on any of my new videos. But at the top of the pitcher-player pool, Jacob deGrom is our most expensive option today. He's $11,600 on DK, and on Yahoo he's at $57. So I think deGrom is by far the top option on the slate. Gets a matchup with the Royals. Pretty easy matchup, I would say. Once you get past the top 4 hitters, there's a lot of easy outs, a lot of strikeouts at the bottom of the lineup. Don't have a ton of Ks at the top of the lineup. Merrifield doesn't strike out much. Gordon doesn't strike out much. Hunter Dozier and Soler will Ks versus righties, especially a good right-handed pitcher like Jacob deGrom. And then you do get some Ks from guys like Cuthbert, O'Hearn, Bubba Starling. These guys just at the bottom of the lineup aren't good hitters either. Plus they have some strikeouts there. So I like deGrom a lot. By far the number 1 option. Going to be playing him a ton on DraftKings and on Yahoo. I'm going to try and find my way to pay up for him as much as possible. There are some good expensive stacks to go to today, like the Red Sox, 7.2 implied run total against Asher Wojciechowski. Coors Field game, the Rockies right now have a 7.8 implied run total against Hector Noesi. So there's going to be teams we want to pay up for sure, but fitting into Grom's going to be something I try and do as much as possible. There are other spots you can go to for bats, like for cheap. I think the Angels are going to be a team I look to for cheap versus Hector Santiago. Santiago is just a really bad pitcher. Definitely like some of these Angels bats, and a lot of them are pretty cheap on DraftKings. So that's kind of where I'm looking to spin. I don't see myself really going to Ryu here. Tough matchup with the Braves. Plus the Braves don't really strike out that much. Just don't think Ryu's necessary on this slate. He's a lot cheaper than deGrom, but I feel like deGrom's just such a better play. Projects way better. So don't see myself going to Ryu. I think if I were to pay up for somebody else, it'd probably be a guy like Jose Barrios. Barrios not in a favorable environment for pitchers. Definitely a batter's park going into Texas to face the Rangers, where it's going to be pretty hot, 98 degrees. But the Rangers don't have that high of a total right now, just a 4.9 implied run total. The Rangers do strike out a lot versus right-handed pitching. Barrios is in a pretty favorable matchup. It's just the ballpark's so bad. If you were to pay up for him as a contrarian option, I could see it. But still, I think if I'm paying up at the top, I'm just going to try and get as much deGrom as possible. My favorite play at SP2 by far is Herman Marquez. I like him a lot here at home against the Marlins. I'm going to be pairing deGrom and Marquez a lot today, just trying to pay up for those pitchers. I think there are some cheap bats we can go to that we'll talk about that kind of allow you to do so. So Marquez is getting a matchup with the Marlins. Very favorable matchup. Only negative here is that this game is being played in Coors Field, and it is going to be 90 degrees, so very favorable hitting environment, but still the Marlins are just such a bad offense that I think Marquez is still a pretty good play here. He's already faced the Marlins once this year, and I'm pretty sure it was in Coors Field, and he went 6 innings, allowed 2 hits, 1 run, got 7 strikeouts, had 26 DraftKings points. Could easily see a similar performance to Marquez. If he was facing the Marlins in Marlins Park, he'd probably be like 10K. Since he's facing them in Coors Field, you are getting that factored into the price tag of him only being $8,800. People are probably going to go to Erod at 9K against the Orioles. I think I'd just rather play Marquez for $200 less. Then once you get past Marquez, there really isn't much to like. Like Anibal Sanchez for $8,400 against the Brewers, not going there. Jacob Junis $8,300 against the Mets. Don't see myself playing him. Lyles against the Nationals, don't really like. Eflin against the Padres. Eflin hasn't pitched in over a month. He hasn't pitched a full game. He's just been working out of the bullpen. So I'm not exactly sure how deep he's going to be able to go. Fultonevich in a tough spot against the Dodgers. Wojciechowski in a tough spot against the Red Sox. But then there is some value down here. You have a guy like Jose Suarez at home against the White Sox. pretty favorable matchup. The White Sox do have strikeouts in their lineup versus left-handed pitching. Suarez is not a good pitcher, but he's dirt cheap on DraftKings. Same could be said for Taylor Clark. Taylor Clark's not that great of a pitcher, but he's dirt cheap on DraftKings, and he's in a favorable matchup with the Giants. We know how bad the Giants lineup is. So if you want a full punt, like if you want to play DeGrom and then try and still fit in some expensive bats, I think going to a guy like Suarez at 4,900 or Taylor Clark at 4,800 does make some sense. On Yahoo, I don't think you really need to do that on this slate. I don't think you need to pay down that cheap, but I don't think Taylor Clark's in the player pool, but Suarez is $30 on Yahoo if you were to go to him. But on Yahoo, I think if you're going to try and pay down a pitcher, just maybe go to a guy like Lamet, maybe at 34, save a little salary off of Marquez. Or if you want to get off of DeGrom and play like Erod and Marquez or Barrios and Marquez, I could see doing that. But like I said at the beginning, I'm just going to be trying to go DeGrom and Marquez as much as possible today. So for hitters, we're definitely going to need to find value. Once you go DeGrom, Marquez on DraftKings, you're only left with $3,700 remaining per player. But like I said, I do like the Angels. I think they're in a pretty good spot here against Hector Santiago. Just not a good pitcher. Came off the IL or came from the bullpen, I can't remember, in his last start against Detroit. I believe he had been pitching, or in AAA, he had been pitching in AAA, that's what it is, and then he made his, got called up to the majors. Made his start against Detroit last week. Didn't really go that well. Just 4 2/3 innings. Allowed 7 hits, 5 runs. Got 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. That was against Detroit, the Tigers, who have one of the worst offenses. Now he has to face the Angels, who don't have that great of an offense, but don't have a lot of strikeouts either. They do have a pretty good top of the lineup. Once you get like 1 through 5, 1 through 6, there's some good hitters in there with Fletcher, who's pretty good versus lefties. We know how good Mike Trout is. Ohtani's a great hitter. Upton has good power versus lefties. Albert Pujols doesn't have much power, but he doesn't really strike out either. He's going to put the ball in play. Cole Calhoun has some power. And then you get like Renfrigo, Stassi, and Tovar, who aren't great hitters, but they're also dirt cheap, $3,100, minimum salary, $2K. Max Stassi, probably one of the better catcher values at $2K. And then Tovar at $2,400. But the two guys I really like from the Angels are Fletcher leading off. Fletcher leading off at only $3,400 feels like one of the best values at either third base or shortstop. Does have dual eligibility, so you can play him at either position. And then I also do like Justin Upton a lot at $4K. Both of these guys are pretty good versus left-handed pitching. Santiago struggles a ton to righties, so the righties are going to be very appealing for the Angels. If you can pay up for Mike Trout at $5,400, he feels like one of the top plays on the slate. Upton I like a lot. Albert Pujols is pretty cheap at $3,600. There's a lot of value at the bottom of the lineup, even though those guys aren't great hitters. The 7 through 9 are so cheap, you could still fit in DeGrom with the Angel stack. Might even be able to get like DeGrom and Ryu if you wanted to do that, but I would probably do like a 5-man Angels. That would probably allow you to get like 3 Rockies in there. Like if you do like a Fletcher, maybe a Fletcher, Trout, Upton, Pujols, Stassi stack, that 5-man stack, that's probably going to leave you enough salary to get in either some Rockies bats or some Red Sox bats, and we're for sure going to want to go there in terms of stacks. For cheap value, the Angels are a team I like a lot. On Yahoo, they're really not as necessary because there are some clear underpriced teams on Yahoo, and one of those teams is the Twins. The Twins give you a lot of value today. I like 2 guys on Yahoo from the Twins, C.J. Cron at only $10 and Jorge Polanco at only $14. Both of those guys are going to be core plays for me over on Yahoo. And the Twins are going to for sure be a core stack on Yahoo just given their pricing. Even the expensive guys like Kepler and Rosario aren't that expensive. Like I think Kepler's $20. Yeah, Kepler's $20. Rosario's only $19. At third base, Miguel Sano's only $19. At second base, you have Arias at $16. Whether it's Castro or Garver catching, you have Garver at $18. Castro's all the way down here at $10. The Twins are for sure going to be a stack I look to a lot on Yahoo. You can definitely go to them on DraftKings as well, but they are pretty expensive. You have 4 hitters over $5K. The rest of the hitters aren't that cheap either, with Polanco at $4,900, Arias at $48, Cron's kind of cheap at $41, Marin's kind of cheap at $41, Adrianza at $4K you could look to. I like the Twins more, though, on Yahoo, where their pricing's a lot better. Great matchup for them versus Gerardo. Gerardo has really struggled this year in terms of home runs, especially to right-handed hitters, but he will still give up home runs to lefties. We know how good this Twins lineup is. Even without Nelson Cruz, this is still a lineup that has a ton of power. It's a great hitting environment, great hitting weather. Twins have a 6.2 implied run total. They're for sure going to be a stack that I look to. Try and get them in as much as possible if I'm paying up for a team. The Red Sox, Rockies, and Twins are going to be the 3 teams I try and fit in if I can pay up. But to fill out my 5 plays for DraftKings, I think one of the top values on DraftKings, assuming he's leading off, is Trent Grisham. He's only $2,900, which feels way too cheap. This guy's been a great hitter so far for the Brewers whenever he's got the opportunity to play. He usually has, at least as of late, he's been leading off versus a right-handed pitcher, and the Nationals are going to be throwing out Anibal Sanchez, who is a right-handed pitcher. And right now, Labs has Grisham in the leadoff spot. So I like him a lot at $2,900. Whether you're stacking the Brewers or if you just want to play him as a one-off, he feels like a great play. DraftKings just hasn't adjusted the salary for how good this guy's been when he's got the playing time. You see the game log when he's got like 4 or 5 at-bats. These games where he has 0, most of them are because he just pinch hit. Like this game, just 1 AB, he pinch hit. This game up here against Minnesota, just 1 AB because he pinch hit. Other than that, he's in the limited sample size that he's been in the league. 314 average, 2 home runs, does have some power. I think he has a little bit of speed as well. And I know in past years, not sure if that's the case this year, but Anibal Sanchez has been pretty bad at holding runners. He's usually a guy that's pretty easy to steal on. So I like Grisham a lot as one of the top values on DraftKings at $2,900, assuming he leads off. On Yahoo, his price is adjusted to where it should be. I think he's like $16, so you don't need to go to him over there. I do like some Brewers, though, on Yahoo. You have Mike Moustakas at third base for only $11. That feels like a great play versus Anibal Sanchez. You do have Yasmani Grandal at only $13 a catcher. On Yahoo, he feels like one of the top catcher plays. I do like a Brewers stack today. They're not going to be a core stack for me, but you do have some value in this lineup. Even on DraftKings, you have a lot of value with Grisham at $2,900, Grandal $3,700, Moustakas $3,600, Kane only $3,300. If you need a cheap stack to go along with the Angels, like the Angels are a cheap stack I like on DraftKings, but the Brewers are definitely a team you could include. Grisham leading off, though, just feels like the easiest play of the slate at $2,900. Sanchez, he's been decent this year, but he will still give up some home runs to lefties and to righties. He's definitely a guy you can stack against. He has struggled at times this year, especially when he gets a tough matchup. Like he had a pitch against the Braves, allowed 10 hits, 4 runs. Against the Mets, 7 hits, 3 runs. Definitely a guy you can take hitters against, and I do like some Brewers bats, specifically the power guys, so like Moustakas, Yelich, Grandal, but Grisham leading off on DraftKings as a value play you can for sure look to. But these are my 5 plays today for DraftKings and for Yahoo. Now talking about some stacks before we move on to BVP. I have 3 of my favorite stacks. I'm not really going out on a limb, but the Rockies. I didn't mention any Rockies in my 5 plays, but if you can find a way to fit them in, they're easily one of the top stacks today versus Hector Noesi in Coors Field, 7.8 implied run total. Red Sox versus Wojciechowski, 7.2 implied run total. You could definitely look to. The Twins I like a lot versus Gerardo, 6.2 implied run total. And then if you're looking for cheap teams to target, if you're trying to pay up for DeGrom and you need some cheap offense, I think the Angels are in a pretty good spot versus Santiago, and they're very cheap. Same could be said for the Brewers versus Anibal Sanchez. They also have a lot of value in their lineup as well. But let's go ahead and look at some BVP real quick before we end the video. So just a couple of BVP plays on this night slate. Gerardo Parra's gone 9 for 24 off Jordan Lyles. Trey Mancini 9 for 26 with 2 home runs off Erod. Freddie Freeman 4 for 10 off Hyun-Jin Ryu. AJ Pollock 6 for 10 with the home run off Fultonevich. And Justin Upton does have some BVP off Santiago, 4 for 15 with the home run. So that's it for BVP, guys, and that's it for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy the video, and hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like. I would really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. Feel free to message me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT if you do have any questions. My DMs are always open. But good luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.